Hello, everyone. I'm here this time with Mr. Yellow as opposed to Mr. Green. Say hello,
Yeah.
sir.
Hello.
Now, this is Roma Army. This gentleman decided to do a response video to her, and he starts off pretty good, but then he gets bad as he goes along. And so,
It's called
Mr.
Think Before
Yellow,
You Sleep. The channel name's Think Before You Sleep. It's got about 500,000
yeah,
subs.
here, let me just double check. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
Think Before You Sleep. Yes. So Mr. Yellow has watched this, and what I'll do is let him start off. And what do you have to say about this?
Well, it starts off with a good reply to this Roma Army, or Amy, whatever you call her name. And Roma is a fake MRA, feminist hybrid. And she pretends to care about men's issues to gain attention. And if you criticize her, she'll basically call you incel and ask if you've ever been touched by a woman. Because this video here, Roma Army, the comedian, or I'll call her Roma Army because I think that's how you pronounce it. Roma
Yes.
Army, okay. She did a 50-minute reply video, and she just basically called Think Before You Sleep an incel and asked if he's ever been touched by a woman and called him a misogynist, blah blah blah. So when he criticised her, she didn't go, let me reflect on that. She just reverted to the typical feminist behavior. So she's a feminist.
Yeah.
You know, even though she has criticized feminists, right? She's still a feminist. And I think she's got a male feminist boyfriend. So this criticism starts off well, but unfortunately it gets hijacked by this guy's obsessions. Because all Tradcons, they've got this weird mate guarding obsession. They're obsessed about, the thing is, they're obsessed about certain behavior from women, but they never fucking enforce it. Right? That's what's so infuriating. So you're in no fucking position to get this behavior from women, yet they're still fucking obsessed with it. That's what it annoys me, basically. So it's like they're obsessed about having a mountain of gold. You know, you're never gonna get a fucking mountain of gold. Live in reality, bro. Sorry.
Well, that's just it. There's never, I'll tell you right now, all these videos that we do talking with these guys, none of these guys offer the solution. Okay, we've got to force women to do this. They never say this because that would destroy their channel. It's that simple.
They know it's never going to happen, but they still can't go. They don't go for more realistic because they don't care about more realistic goals. That's why they won't go for more realistic goals. They don't care about it because they just want the relationship. So, like getting men more respect and some more rights, that's more attainable. But they rather fixate on the relationship or the stable relationship that they'll never get. If they do get relationships, it's always on very bad terms.
Oh, by the way, everyone, I'm not into forcing women legally or any means for their gender roles. I'm just saying that these guys want things that would require force. Yes. And they're never going to do that. Okay.
Well, the thing is, what they want, they'll actually have to legally ban women from working, to be honest.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Now, let's start off with this, Ed.
Onto the term nice guys finish last. If at any point in this video you start to feel pissed off at me, you're probably projecting because this is reminding you of behaviors that you are doing. This one may come as a little bit of a shock, but it is not a turn on.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's called circular logic right there. So if you're offended by what I say is therefore correct because you're offended by what I say. That's what she's basically saying.
Yeah.
So, hey, cunt face. Oh, you're offended by that cunt face. You must be a cunt face then. That's what she's basically said. The same as that. You know, I called you a name. If you're offended by that, you must be that name. Fuck you. Oh, so you paused it and just go back 5 more seconds.
Okay.
Stop playing again.
Remember, there's probably a bit of a time lag too, right? For you.
Is a little bit of a shock, but it is not a turn on, and it's actually a red flag for us when you are a self-proclaimed nice guy. A genuinely nice guy shouldn't have to self-proclaim.
I just wanted to emphasize that point. It's not a turn on for us women, blah, 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 as well. That's another massive red flag. It's not a turn on. I thought it was the men's rights activists army, right? Okay. Your turn-ons have got nothing to do with anything, you know. It's like, you know, can you imagine if men went, you know, women, going on about women who you're going on about female genital mutilation and trying to protect young girls from it, it's not a turn us for us men, you know. Just keep your mouth shut and don't worry about your human rights. Can you imagine if a man said that?
Yeah, this is quite the MRA we're dealing with.
Yes, and she's probably the most popular MRA on the internet, which is quite sad, actually.
Well, it's sad, but sadly typical too.
Yes.
Proclaim it. I'm a nice girl. Nice guys usually get used by the toxic women that know that they'll say yes to everything that they want. And then they completely miss us good girls. They completely miss us good girls. It's actually a red flag for us when you are a
But Think Before You Sleep rightfully calls out a contradiction there, right?
Yeah.
But I want to focus on the victim blaming. So self-proclaimed nice guys, that's very creepy. That's a turn off, right? And you're probably a whining self-proclaimed nice guy because you're a doormat. You let women walk all over you, and you miss the nice girls like us. Now, let's break that apart. The problem is, right, if you're not a doormat, a lot of guys, if they're not doormats, they don't get selected. They'll get deselected.
Yes,
Their
exactly.
doormat behavior is to get selected, right? And Roma Army, or Army, I fucking find her name confusing.
Roma Army, yeah.
Right? She would deselect a guy who's not a doormat as well. She's just like all the other women. So she's going, oh yeah, you just got no spine. You're a creepy nice guy. You're a doormat, and it's your fault. Yeah, but you deselect the guys who are not doormats. She has the same exact mindset as the. So she's telling men to behave in a certain way and not be a doormat, but she's got the exact same mindset and behavior that leads to the non-doormats getting deselected. So she's encouraging doormat behavior. That's what I'm trying to say.
That's why a lot of guys who use the word simp probably are deselected themselves.
Yes.
They weren't able to simp hard enough. You know.
Deselection is the default norm. Like you can only get selected for unless you're a rock star with a lot of status or someone with a lot of status, you're deselected by default, and you have to struggle to stay selected.
Yes, of course. That's why when guys do get lucky, they use the term lucky.
Yes.
A self-proclaimed nice guy.
I always thought that content creators did what I did, which is watch all their videos before they post them. I guess they don't. I feel like if she did that, it would have been pretty easy to catch that she said she was nice and a good woman right after she said it was a red flag for a guy to proclaim that he is nice. But I agree. Proclaiming that you are nice or good is a red flag.
The thing is, this is not a gender-neutral rule from Army's point of view, right? So you can't say you're a nice guy, that's creepy, but women can say they're nice women. And no one's going to bat an eyelid. It's a double standard. So she gets away with it because, unfortunately, a lot of people will agree with her. You know, they won't blink at the double standard. So I just want to point that out.
Yeah, of course. Like you
she probably doesn't feel embarrassed by it. She doesn't feel embarrassed by it. I promise you that.
Yeah.
Flag, because there is no one you should be more suspicious of than a person who has to constantly tell people they are a good person. That's not something that you get to declare about yourself. It's a title that you have to earn from other people. Well, anyway, for those of you,
I just want to point something out.
Sure.
The reason why men call themselves nice guys
who don't know.
Oh, sorry, just a minute. Sorry, just a minute. Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry. The reason why a lot of men call themselves nice guys is because they're being defensive and they're under attack by society and women. So they feel insecure, and they're often saying that in reply to something that someone said to them, especially a woman on the internet. You know, they're talking about other guys being a load of shit, being trash, and a guy can go, no, but I'm a nice guy. You know, and I've actually seen this. There's pink pill feminists who go, not all guys are saying that basically means not all guys are scum, but all guys who say they're nice guys. You know, that's more psychological right there. So you're not allowed to defend yourself and say you're a nice guy or you're scum.
Yeah.
You just got to take it. Yeah.
Well, the nice guys they hate is the ones that actually expect something. They say, I'm a nice guy, I've been good to you, so I want you to reciprocate with some intimacy or something.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. Nice guy to a feminist means you give everything, you get nothing. That's all.
This is Chloe Sunderland, and she runs a channel called Roma Army. Chloe is a 23-year-old Canadian who speaks out for men's rights and has built quite a following on TikTok. There's just one problem, though. She isn't actually helping men. I'll get into that, but first, a word from this video's sponsor, Sandman.
Zuck the cuck drinks water like a
Sandman. Oh my God.
Oh, let's get this shit. Let's
Let's
get this.
get past. Yeah.
How the fuck is Zuck a cuck, you fucking idiot, Sandman? He's far higher status than you. You know what I mean? This is the typical MGTOW hostility towards other men, especially men who are more successful. Jesus Christ.
He's got the girl Sandman.
Who will pretend that she likes the things that the guy likes in order to get him to like her. When she gets comfortable, she'll bait and switch and become a different person, which typically means she becomes an abuser because she is manipulating you into thinking that she was someone else. As far as the red pill goes, many...
All right, this is where it starts to fall apart, okay? Because it starts off with psychoanalysis, right? Because it's about... This is a fake MRA, and she says atrocious things. The focus should be on those atrocious things. But what he does is psychoanalyze her and says, oh, she's a bad girl. Like, mate, you know, she's one woman, right? You don't have to tell the entire internet to avoid a fucking relationship with her. Yeah? You know what I mean? It's like, he's framing it around relationships. It's going to get worse and worse, right? And he's going to talk about irrelevant things. And this video is actually too long for what it is. It should have been a lot shorter, and it should have focused on the ridiculous thing she said, and it should have called her out, and should have called her out for being a fake MRA. So,
yeah, exactly. So our video might be longer than we want it, you know.
Many women have figured out that if they watch a couple of red pill videos, they can become a chameleon, say the exact same things they saw in those videos, and get tons of men to follow them simply because it's a woman saying it.
Oh, hi there. Welcome to Facts About Men.
Let's be honest here. The closest that men get in society to cared about or valued is whether or not they're deemed as useful.
Welcome to information that literally every red pill channel has said for the past 10 years.
I don't see how that's relevant, because it doesn't matter. First of all, not everyone can come up with any original stuff, right? 1 + 1 = 2, right? And you want to spread correct information, it doesn't have to be original. So I don't see how this is actually a point, right? The point is what she's saying is true? Is it helpful? And what's her motivations, right? And you can already go that she's made her motivations obvious with her bad behavior and the bad things she said, that she's not to be trusted. But she's attacking her for not being original and just repeating what everyone else says. The thing is, all these right wingers and all these red pill nut jobs, they repeat things ad nauseum. MGTOWs repeat things ad nauseum, saying the same thing over and over again. Like Sandman, the person who was a sponsor in this video, as we just saw, he says the same things over and over again.
He's the ultimate.
Yes, he repeated a lot of things from other MGTOWs. So her just repeating stuff. Oh, it's just a woman hearing stuff elsewhere and repeating it. It's not a point. It's a very weak point, in my opinion.
Yeah, because, you know, if anyone in our pro-male collective, if there's a woman, trans woman or whatever, and they repeat our message, that's fine by us. Because after all, I mean, their motivations are what's important.
Yes.
She isn't adding anything new. She is simply saying this stuff as a woman, and that's not useful, but it will get you a lot of followers. The fact of the matter is that if women want to help men not get screwed over, then they have a ton to offer. Imagine if there was a female YouTuber out there who gave critical analysis of all of the manipulation tactics that abusive women use on men. It would be helpful for lack of a...
Yeah, I agree with that. Look, I wouldn't say that, because I just find men don't really follow it. Esther Villar, way back in the 70s, she wrote 2 books over this, and it didn't really change much of anything, you know.
Men ignored it. But the thing is, well, it also is framing it in terms of relationships. Like, give men a list of abusive relationship tactics. It's about trying to negotiate with relationships and win in relationships. It's not human rights based. You see what I mean? It's not systematic.
Yes.
It's not on a macro level. It's on an individual level, right? The problem is it's not. The problem is not well. Narcissistic women are a problem, but that's not the problem in and of itself. The problem is that narcissistic women are enabled by the system, right? For example, if you're a narcissistic man and you're in a relationship and you're abusing a female partner, she's got recourses to that bad behavior,
Yes.
right?
That's the thing.
And
Yes.
the thing is, if you're a man in a narcissistic in a relationship with a narcissistic woman, she can fuck you, and the system enables her to fuck you, right? That's the difference. She's got systematic institutional privilege to abuse the man. That's the problem. All right.
Exactly.
The better term, learn from the masters. And some women have done that. Diana Davidson did a video on Dahlia Dippolito, a woman who hired a hitman to kill her husband. When Dahlia got caught, she was able to manipulate her husband, who she tried to kill, into helping her get out of jail. She still went to prison, but wouldn't it be great to hear what specific techniques that Dahlia used to manipulate her husband, even to help her? Diana Davidson's video on Dahlia.
The thing is, the manipulation tactics are not that complicated. They're fucking obvious. The guy was an idiot. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
No.
exactly.
The thing is, if a woman tried to kill, I'm going to say something. If a woman tried to kill me, I would only try and get her out of prison so I could get to her myself, get my own revenge. That's what I'm saying right here, right now.
Yeah.
So, Jesus.
Well, I've mentioned it in other videos that there's nothing complex about women's manipulation. Men just want to believe it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Dippolito is not chameleon content because it provides new and useful information that actually helps men. That's not what Chloe is doing.
Pause. So if you don't provide new information, you're a social comedian. So using that standard, you actually can't be not a social chameleon, right? Because we've all repeated stuff we've heard from elsewhere. So if you're a Marxist, right, you can't repeat Marxist theory. If you're a right-wing free market fanatic, you can't repeat those economic theories from somewhere else. You've got to come up with your own original research each time. That's a ridiculous standard to hold, actually. It's unworkable.
Right.
Chloe is just parroting information that men have already said and attracting simps purely because it's a woman saying it. In their minds, they think.
Okay, the term simp is anti-male. It's male on male hostility, right? And it's often used by Tradcon men to attack other men, and they're projecting their own shame at their own behavior and their own submissive behavior to women onto other men.
Yeah, listen, this guy, anyone doesn't know, I might do a video on it. Think before you sleep. He did a video where he was talking about, men not marrying women because the women don't know how to cook. So, I mean, he is willing to simp for women. He's willing to say, look, I will marry you. All you have to do is do a little bit of housework and I'll marry you. I mean, he would anyway, no matter what. But the point is, that's simping to me. And that's what all Tradcons are.
Do you know what? Let's talk about marriage for a bit. Let's pretend that there's no risks involved in marriage when it came to divorce. Let's say they got rid of those penalties, right? Tomorrow, let's say get rid of them tomorrow. Men still shouldn't marry women. They should only marry women if the woman had a fucking job and was willing to pay away and contribute. Period.
Yes, a full-time job and one that's close to the same money you make.
Or it's not a full-time job. She doesn't leech off the man. She's just like lives within her means and doesn't parasite off you.
Yes,
exactly. So but the thing is that requires self-respect, and you don't fold. Oh, she cooks. Look, most men don't give a fuck if they eat meals from the microwave. A lot of men will just put something in the microwave, heat it up, and eat it and sit in front of the TV. Come on, let's be real.
Yes, of course.
See, guys, she really gets us. Chloe cares about men and has sympathy for our issues. But does she really? No, she doesn't. She is actually in favor of some of the major issues that are harming men. The number one issue for men is family court. The issue is not some abusive chick that you dated 5 years ago.
Okay. The number one issue for men is circumcision, period. The attacking of helpless baby boys. So to me, that's a red flag. But family court is bad. I don't want to downplay it, right? But this Tradcon is framing it for the wrong reasons. He feels that his status and provision is under attack. If he gets divorced, then his money gets stripped off him. He can't get the next new woman. So, yeah, I've got a quick one. Yeah.
I'd put that in
Also,
construction.
I want to point something out. So he's attacking her for talking about personal issues, about whether you dated this narcissistic chick, but he does loads of videos like that as well on the
Oh
personality.
yeah, all kinds. All kinds.
Yes.
The actual problem is that feminists lobbied the government to create laws that highly encourage abusive relationships and encourage.
Sorry, I just had to pause it here. Feminists do not make women do anything.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, no, the thing is, he's blaming laws and feminists only. Like feminists lobbied the government to get the family court system how it's set up. No, I'm sorry, feminists and Tradcons did.
yes, men and women are involved in that. Period.
And the right are involved in that as well. Because, like, for example, the worst states in the USA when it comes to child support are right-wing states. I'm sorry. And I've spoken to plenty of right-wingers online. Vast majority of them support child support. And they support the family court as well. When they're not getting screwed over by it, but some other guy getting screwed over it, they support the family court system.
They do. They do. And this guy will too. I guarantee it.
Encourage the enslavement of men. One of those laws is child support. Guess what? Chloe believes in child support.
However, there are women.
Okay. If you don't support child support, think before you sleep. That's good for you, actually. That's far better than a lot of right wingers and fake MRAs and even MRAs. There's quite a few MRAs that support child support, but a lot of your right wing subs support child support. They support it fully, or they support it conditionally. They go, oh, you know, the women should provide receipts. You know, they should provide receipts and prove what they spend it on. No, because women have got a right to abandon their children. Therefore, men should not be forced to pay. So
Exactly.
Go back 5 seconds. Go back 5 seconds. The clip started.
Okay. Try here.
The enslavement of men. One of those laws is child support. Guess what? Chloe believes in child support.
However, there are women that they're entitled to that. Absolutely. If you fuck up her life, fuck up her mental health, and leave her with a kid to look after, yes, you need to pay her child support.
Child support is theft. It's forced.
Yeah, child support is slavery. It's worse than theft. Theft is just short-term stealing. But anyway, so what she says is basically, if you fuck a woman up, you've got to pay child support. So first of all, most relationship breakups are caused by women. The statistics show that. Okay, even if a man does somehow quote unquote fuck up a woman's life, you don't owe her money for 18 years, right? However, it doesn't matter how the man fucked up her life. If he beat her, stole off her, conned off her, he doesn't owe her child support, right? So what she's done, that's a red herring right there, right? Child support is nothing to do with abusive men, right? It's nothing to do with men. It's all men who have a kid with a woman, period. So the fact that she's bringing up abuse as an issue is completely manipulative. Nothing to do with child support. I'm sorry. And so even if men were abusive, some men were abusive in relationships, they still don't owe, morally, they don't owe the woman child support, right? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. If he was abusive, well, why didn't she say, oh, I just want jail time for this guy because he punched me or whatever?
Yes,
you know?
exactly. And the thing is, it's women pushing fathers away from their kids. That's the cause of this shit as well. I'm sorry. 50-50 shared parenting as a standard default. And statistically, mothers are more dangerous to children than fathers. So you can't even use the abusive father excuse. Oh, they're a danger to the kids. Fuck you. The women are a bigger danger to the kids. That's a statistical fact. That's not me making shit up.
No, matter of fact, you'll notice that Think Before You Sleep does not mention any of this either. You know, that's not as
Forcefully taking money from someone that the recipient did not earn. If Chloe was not a chameleon and actually supported men like she says she does, then she would be fully against child support. Now, to add context to this clip, she is referring to women who were being abused and left with a kid. But as I was told when I was 5, 2 wrongs don't make a right. If he was abusive, then put him in jail and punish him for his crimes. But that does not justify you stealing from him for 18 years. Nor does it justify the large number of cases where abuse does not occur. And also, if a woman wanted money, wouldn't she just claim that she was being abused even if she wasn't? Kind of like a lot of women already do. As in, the child support system is extremely easy to abuse. However, Chloe doesn't just believe in child support in the case of abuse. She believes in child support in nonviolent cases too.
If the parents are not able to split the kids 50-50, maybe one of them's work schedule is different, so they want to do, a couple days a week with dad, blah, blah, blah. If that is the case, then yes, child support should be paid to the mother because the mother has them for more of the time. However, it should be strictly calculated, looked at very closely at exactly what is needed, exactly what is missing, and not a penny more. Not only that, but child support should not be allowed to exceed more than 1/3 of his income.
Let's pause.
1/3 of his income?
So, but she's actually stating a position that the majority of this guy's subs support.
Yes.
Think about it. So, yes. Now, I object to child support for many different reasons, but the main principle I object to it is that women have the right to parental surrender.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did a video on that not long ago.
Yeah.
My country, Canada, women are allowed to actually give their children up.
Yes. So,
And they don't have to pay child support to the people they
Yeah.
give it up to.
and in America, I'm not sure it was Canada or America, or maybe it was both. In one of those countries, they had a problem. Well, it's probably both countries. They had a problem with women killing their babies because the women felt pressured that the women felt pressured that they wouldn't be able to abandon responsibility, so they were killing their babies. So, what do you think the government did? They go, we've got to crack down on these mothers and punish them to protect the children, have a deterrent. No, they invented safe drop-off zones at fire stations for these
Yes.
women. So they accommodated child killers. It's like, Jesus Christ. That's oh my God. Can you imagine? I can't even think of an analogy that's insane enough, actually. You know what I mean? It's like, it looks like there's a problem with violent muggings. Let's pass a law where people who are getting mugged legally have to hand their money over without violence, without being threatened. They have to just hand it over, resist. It's equivalent of that. I'm sorry, it's absolutely ridiculous. Oh.
Well, there used to be heavy prices, to be paid in the past, but in the past, people wanted children to look after parents, right? But
Yes.
now that they don't, that's why it's changed. So, excuse me.
That's a lot of money. And do you really think the government is going to strictly calculate everything? The government screws things up constantly.
Oh, by the way, 1/3 is still too huge. That's huge.
Yeah.
I couldn't live. Well, even if I had a full-time job, my job was really good paying. You take up to 1/3 of it, all of a sudden you've got no extra money at all to your name. You're just living,
But most people,
that the mom could...
most people, their surplus spending money is not a 1/3 of their income.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
just make up a bunch of BS expenses in order to get more money. And also, if you were saying that child support should be paid out to the parent with more custody, wouldn't that just encourage women to push for more time with their kids so they get more money in child support? Kind of like a lot of women already do. Again, he is not willing to give you that money, which makes child support theft. How can you say you're here to help men when you're in support of one of the major things that hurts them? Chloe also suggests that men should date single mothers. Here is a video of her explaining how to weed out a bad single mother, when really the advice should be, don't date single mothers. Unless her husband died in a tragic accident, a single mother is telling you that she does not know how to maintain a stable relationship.
Hold it. him and all his subs would date a single mother if she allowed him.
Let's turn this around as well, right? Him and all his subs would get a new woman if their former relationships fell apart. They wouldn't go, yeah, I can't hold a stable relationship together. I'm just going to knock him on the head. It's not fair on the other person. They wouldn't say that, would they? They'll get a new woman. So it's really hypocritical. Look, I don't like single mothers, but this standard is pretty ridiculous. Oh, don't date them. Jesus Christ.
And she should have to deal with the consequences of her actions. If that means less guys want her, then that's too bad. I'm sure this video from Chloe has nothing to do with her being a single mother.
Let's look at her, right? Even with those ridiculous tattoos and her weird body language, that's very creepy. She's a very attractive woman, right? She is not going to struggle when it comes to getting men. Single mother, she could have 10 children and she could still find a man. Let's be real.
Well, he admits that her channel is the most popular MRA channel. Why? Because she's a woman, so guys would date her in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Come on, dude.
And is not self-promotion at all. She is literally telling men to enter into a relationship where their chances of being with an abusive partner are far higher than if he got together with a woman who doesn't have kids. Plus, he has to deal with a father who could be an abuser himself. This is not helpful to men. This is why being...
What do you mean deal with a father who's an abuser? He doesn't know that.
Who could be an abuser. Who could be an abuser. It's still a very weird thing to bring up, even though I use that wording. You have to deal with a man who could be an abuser. So I don't get that. So you could date a single mother, she could be abusive, and you could deal with her ex-boyfriend or ex-husband who could be abusive. I don't even see how that's relevant. So, because like, let's say you're dating a single mother and she's got an abusive ex. I don't see how that's relevant. Like, you just phone the police on them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Being able to identify a chameleon is very important. Chloe may seem nice, but the things she recommends are awful. And I've said before, you can always tell who these people are way before anything serious happens if you know what to look for. You can literally read these people like a book with very little information. I'm saying this stuff because I've gotten plenty of comments and messages of people saying that Chloe is their waifu and she is the perfect example of a good woman. Chloe has a whole laundry list of mental problems that she hasn't dealt with. She would be a horrible partner because people with severe mental issues don't have the self-awareness to realize they are doing something wrong.
Pause. We've got to pause this. Right, this is getting to the weird psychoanalysis.
Yeah.
That's not really bullshit. So this is where his videos really starting to fall apart. Before he's made some decent points. He's made some decent points about child support, for example, but now he's completely going to clap. Also, I think he's taking the waifu thing too literally. Like, some guy might find her cute. Oh, she's my waifu, right? They don't mean literally they're going to try and date her. Because first of all, she's getting 16,000 a month or something ridiculous like that. She's getting a lot of money from her OnlyFans, or she was. Not sure how much she's getting now, but she's probably saved a lot of that up, right? Roma Army, I'm just going to Chloe, that's her name. Chloe is not going to be able to date all her subscribers or any of them, right? She's probably not even going to date one of them in her lifetime. She's not going to date them. So how good she is to date, how trustworthy she is to date personally is not really relevant when you think about it. Okay, the things she says, her beliefs and views, and her counterproductive behavior when it comes to advocating for men's rights, that's what's relevant.
Exactly. And this guy's, like I say, he's losing the train.
We saw that when she said it was bad for men to call themselves nice guys, but okay for her to call herself a good woman. More importantly, people with mental health issues do not know how to contain their behavior, so the more comfortable they are around you, the more they will flip out of control. With that said...
Pause. This is actually an outrageous thing to say, okay? There is actually such a thing as bad generalizations, because a bad generalization is actually an inaccurate generalization. This is an inaccurate generalization. He's just painted mentally ill people with a broad brush. There's many different types of mental illness. So he's just saying, oh, people with mental illness, they're all going to lash out and act up. I'm sorry. That's absolutely that's a ridiculous thing to say. There's many people who have mental illness, who struggle with mental illness, right? And they don't harm anyone else whatsoever. They don't lash out at anyone else. They don't have toxic relationships. There's all sorts of different types of mental illness, right? Like you get some people who are like cluster B, who have got like narcissistic personality disorder. They're going to be like the types that are more likely to lash out. But if someone's got depression, right, and they're feeling suicidal, they're not going to harm anyone else, right? That's a really atrocious thing to say. It's actually very judgmental.
Exactly. Also, a woman without mental issues will still divorce you and make you pay child support.
Yeah.
So it's a non-issue anyway.
Yes.
Let's go over the red flags. Starting with the most obvious red flag, I'm sure a lot of you thought of this right away, which is the tattoos. Now, I feel like I have to say this every single time.
This is when it really starts to collapse, right? These Tradcons, because I've seen them talk about it before, they want sweet, submissive housewives who know how to cook, no STDs, no debt, and no tattoos. No tattoos. That's one of their obsessions.
Yeah.
And he's projecting his Tradcon obsession into this. He's like bringing it into this. It's nothing to do with anything, right? His aesthetic values have nothing to do with anything. I'm sorry. Look, her tattoos do look naff and tacky, and actually they don't ruin her look. She's still attractive. I'd still fuck her if I got a chance to do it for free with like 3 condoms on. But they're nothing to do with anything. I'm sorry. You can't judge people like that.
Yeah. What does this got to do with her being a good MRA?
Yes, exactly as well. Jesus Christ.
Otherwise people will flip out. But I am not saying that everyone who ever gets a tattoo has mental health problems. If she gets a butterfly tattoo on her ankle, then she's probably fine. But if she gets a full-on throat tattoo and has tattoos all over her body, then it is very likely that she has severe mental health issues. I have said before that people who get tattoos and weird piercings do so as a form of self-harm and as a way of corrupting their body. Chloe even made a video where she says that very thing.
I got a lot of my tattoos as a way to, I guess, like be intimidating, I guess, honestly, because I was really tired of people just kind of looking and seeing like a pretty face, and it really bothered me. I was much more than
I don't believe that at all.
She's posturing. She's posturing.
Yes.
First of all, she's not intimidating. And second of all, she hasn't tattooed her lovely face. All right?
Exactly.
She's got a very attractive face, right? She hasn't ruined that. Look, if she wanted to ruin her beautiful face, she'll just cut it up with razor blades, wouldn't she?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So she's
of course.
posturing, and this Tradcon's falling for her posturing as well. And she did, and those tattoos, what they're actually a sign of is bad taste. That's what it is. It's bad taste.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah.
a pretty face. I have a big brain. I'm very tough, very independent.
Oh my God.
There you go. She said she
Look,
didn't
look.
want people to see a pretty face.
Did
So
you say pause?
She said she's, yeah, I said pause. So she says she's tough, she's big brained, and she's independent. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. That's narcissism. That's grandiose traits right there.
Oh yeah.
Right. But look, this psychoanalysis, it's very inaccurate. There's lots of guesses here, right? And I think before he sleeps, he's focusing on the wrong thing. It's
He's
derailing the
focusing
video.
on her as a dating candidate or a partner candidate.
Yeah.
That's not what it's about. She's a fake MRA. That's what's the point is.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
she corrupted it with tattoos. Red flag number 2. She doesn't get along with her own gender. She is one of the guys.
Being an attractive female that did not relate to other females.
Pause. Sorry, we're gonna have to go back like 10 seconds.
Sure.
I've just realised something.
Okay, let me go.
No.
Yeah,
We don't have to listen to it now. I mean, what she just did, she proclaimed herself as intelligent, strong. She was just really grandiose.
Yeah.
Right. Massive red flag. He failed to pick up on that.
Oh yeah, right.
Doesn't get
No,
along
so
with her own gender. She is one of the guys.
Being an attractive female that did not relate to other females, and I just wanted to, hang out with the guys, and I found a lot of acceptance there.
This means that she has trouble connecting with her femininity, or she has trouble finding girls to be friends with who aren't abusers, so she hangs.
Okay, this is all Tradcon bullshit right here. She has trouble connecting with her femininity. What does he even mean by that? What does he mean by that? You see,
Yeah, really.
he's definitely false belief in femininity and what femininity is. This woman, she's grandiose, she's narcissistic, right? She's got shit taste when it comes to what she wears, right? She's a perfectly feminine woman. Come on, she's look those dainty little hands, right? She's a bit of a bobblehead as well. She is a bit of a social chameleon. That's feminine behavior right there. So this guy, here's another thing as well. A lot of women, if they got a lot of female friends, they're actually more likely to turn on you as well, from my experience. Because if her female friends don't like you, they'll turn that woman against you in a heartbeat, and the woman will fold 9 times out of 10 to her female friends. She puts them before you.
Of course.
Now,
they're the people that she cares about.
this guy, think before you sleep, is a Tradcon. He doesn't want his girlfriend to have a lot of male friends, and she wants her to be quote unquote feminine and have a lot of female friends instead, because the female friends are not going to have a penis that they're going to stick into his girlfriend and fuck. It's the mate guarding thing, you see.
Yes.
Scared that she's got too many male friends, she's going to bang the male friend. It's mate guarding fetish at play.
Also, it's hard to say she's not in touch with her femininity while she's putting on makeup.
Yeah.
Hangs out with the boys who will accept her because they are just happy to have any female present, or both. Neither is a sign of good mental health.
I'm sorry. So she's going to hang out with guys because they'll just accept her, and that's not a sign of good mental health. He's basically saying women who have male friends have got mental health problems.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus Christ, did you see what I mean? Where it's getting ridiculous.
Red flag number 3.
Sorry. I want to. So to him, a perfectly sane woman is one who's locked away all the time in the house, doing housework, doing the cooking and cleaning, has the odd nut of her female friends, and doesn't hang around with men at all. Okay, he's got a strong mate guarding fetish for sure.
Yeah.
Chloe has an OnlyFans account. Well, it's Patreon, but you get the idea. For the low price of $70, you get to see what Chloe looks like naked. This is more encouragement of simp behavior. Why would you pay $70 to see a few pictures of her when you could find free naked pictures of women all over the internet? Is her saying a few nice things about men really worth that? She makes over $11,000 a month.
Well, I don't know if it's really worth it, but if a guy pays it, it's worth it to him.
Well, the thing is, you can find a naked, because I've looked at naked pictures. I've looked at porn movies as well. And what was I about to say? Yeah, you can find them for free, but I think the men paying it just want to support her as well. They're not really watching it. They're not really getting it from the naked pictures. Porn movies are not very good, even though she's attractive. Because let me tell you something. There's a difference between a professional porn movie and a very badly done amateur one. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, of course.
So this is very boring. This is very boring to watch. All right.
From her simps by doing this. It really makes me believe that you are all for men's rights and healthy relationships when you are selling your body for money instead of building a skill.
Hold it. Like you say, that this has nothing to do with anything.
Yeah. So what he's saying is, I really believe you're for healthy relationships when you're selling your body. So he doesn't like sex work because that triggers his Tradcon behavior. Also, he goes, I really believe you're for healthy relationships, but when you're selling your body and not building up a skill. I'm sorry, but you want women at home doing the cooking and cleaning. Yeah, that's not a skill, right? You're willing to have an unskilled woman in your life if she's prepared to fake being submissive and feminine. So you're a hypocrite.
Yes. And also, if Chloe did all this, but actually was against child support, I'd be 100% backing her. If she was a true MRA, like you're saying, she fought for men's rights.
Yeah.
Why do I care if she's about relationships or selling her body?
Yeah, I wouldn't care. Yeah, I wouldn't either. Like, it's if she's the biggest slut in the world and she's like sleeping with 100 men a day, I wouldn't care. And this guy would though.
Yes,
That's the problem.
he does.
Yeah.
Sex work is like poison to a relationship. And wait, not only that, but she demands that every man send her a copy of their government ID, as in like a driver's license, before they get access to her photos. Are you guys stupid? You are begging for your identity.
This is actually a good point. This is really bad behavior on her part, and makes me. This is when I could certainly say Chloe is a lunatic. She is a lunatic.
Oh, yeah.
Look. I tell you what. I wouldn't show my government ID if she even promised to come around and have sex with me. I'm sorry, and you know what? I wouldn't actually have sex with her at all, even though I do find her attractive. But thinking about it, because she's actually quite scary.
Yes.
She scares me.
Oh, yeah.
To be stolen. If you watch her videos, she has openly admitted to criminal behavior and openly admitted to associating with criminals. She also states that she has put faith in many of the wrong people in the past. Who's to say that one of those people won't come by and steal your information? Do you really have such little value over your well-being that you would risk that just to see a stranger naked? Speaking of OnlyFans, women don't just go into sex work because they think it's fun or they need to pay for college. Women go into sex work because of trauma. When I see a situation like Chloe's,
This is Tradcon obsession again. So
Yeah.
I don't like sex work. You know, it triggers me. Therefore, you've got to be damaged or you've got to have some trauma to do it. I'm sorry. You know what? Okay, how many women get into relationships with high status men and they're just getting bribed and getting paid to be in a relationship? Yeah. So all those women damaged. Do they have trauma? So if this guy was being the provider in a relationship, think before you sleep. He wouldn't think so. He'll think, oh, this is natural. This is normal. This is a healthy woman.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. It's all parasitism in one form or another.
Yeah.
I immediately think sexual abuse victim, which she confirmed.
You know, I never use what's happened to me, my trauma, my abuse, my sexual abuse,
So there's a few red flags for untreated trauma and bad behavior that you could find out very shortly after meeting someone like her. This is not someone you want to be in a relationship with. With that said,
Pause.
Chloe does go...
Pause. So, no. Think before you sleep. So, if someone's a sexual abuse victim, right, you don't enter in a relationship with them at all. What? That's quite a horrible stance to take, right? Chloe's problems is not that she's a sexual abuse victim. I think her problems is that she's a narcissist, right? And and also she's demanding government ID off men in return for sex pictures, and that makes her look like a con artist, right? Those are reasons to object to getting into a relationship with her, right? But we shouldn't be talking about getting into a relationship with her. You're making this video a lot longer than it needs to be because you're dragging your Tradcon obsessions into this about mate guarding and pure women and what you expect from women. You know, it's nothing to do with anything. What you should do is that she holds these ridiculous beliefs. She said these things. She has a porn page where she demands government ID. Boom, that's enough to criticize her for. You don't have to go to this psychoanalysis bullshit.
Well, Mr. Yell, do we really want to go this whole video? Because we're only about halfway through it.
Let's carry on.
Okay.
A little into her childhood in one of her videos. Let's hear what she has to say.
My mother was 18 when she got pregnant with me, 19 when she had me. She left me at the hospital and didn't tell anybody she was pregnant. The police showed up at my grandmother's door with a baby and was like, oh, and my grandma was like, oh, Valentina did it again, because I guess she hid my sister's pregnancy as well. My grandma took care of me for 2 weeks, and then my mom came back and took me. And
So what she's talking about here, she's talking about being enabled. Basically, her grandmother enabled her mother to be a shitty person. She did it with her sister as well. This is a enablement right here. I just want to point that out.
Right.
And also, I sort of get the sense that she's sort of telling the truth here. For once, her body language is like sort of more sincere.
Yes. And her facial expressions too. Yeah.
Yes.
And took me and put me in the orphanage. The orphanages in those countries are not like the adoption processes here, where a family can just claim that child and be like, yep, no, I'll be the caregiver. If the mother doesn't consent, it doesn't happen. And so my mom needed to keep me a secret. Understandably so. In Romania, you need a man to survive, so a father or a husband.
Bullshit. Pause. So she's excusing her mother's behaviour because she needs a man to survive. That's horseshit. Horseshit. So
Thank you for calling that out.
Yeah, she's enabling her own mother's abuse, basically, with feminist lies.
Yeah.
And that she was seeking, who she's been married to for now 20 years, still doesn't know about my existence. And 2 months after I was born, she got pregnant with my younger sister, Madalena, in which she...
Right, pause. Pause. I want to point something out. Her body language is convincing, but I'm starting not to believe her anymore. You see. So I just wanted to... I think you can tell most of the time if someone's lying, but if someone's a good liar, it can be hard to tell, basically. Right.
14, I had already been abandoned by 3 families, including my birth family. I stayed with my first adoptive family until I was 9, in which I ran away and social services took me in immediately.
Based on how she's behaving, I imagine that she is still leaving a lot of stuff out, whether that's intentional or not. Children only run away when they are being pretty severely abused. I assure you that the story goes much deeper than what she revealed. I bring this stuff up to point out that behaviors all have an origin. Determining the origin of your pathological behaviors can be very helpful because it will help you figure out what to work on when you go to therapy. So in this case, Chloe has abandonment issues, which means...
So this is more psychoanalysis bullshit. That's just a big derail, basically. This is like the good girl versus bad girl nonsense. It's just it's such... Don't date the bad girl who's been abused and corrupted, who has tattoos and does sex work. Avoid those women. That's what it's basically talking about.
Well, the thing is, again, she's the biggest MRA channel, supposedly, according to him. So if being a good girl is so good, how come there's no good girl even pretending to be an MRA? Yeah. Excuse me.
In terms of bad behavior, that she might be needy. She might have poor boundaries with other people. She might do things that are immoral to fit in with her friend group. These are all areas that I would look if I had her problems. And there is a consequence.
Doing immoral things to fit in the friend group is really a common thing with women. I'm sorry. It's even a common thing with men. So you'd have to like deselect so many women if you had that standard. So think before you sleep, you might as well be an anti-relationship channel. Instead of a fixing relationships channel, be an anti-relationship channel. We're going to be consistent and realistic.
To not looking into that stuff, which is that if you don't, you will become an abuser. Remember, none of Chloe's past history is her fault, and we do not blame kids for what their parents did to them. We do, however, take issue when those people go on to abuse other people because of what was done to them in the past. And Chloe is certainly an abuser of her 3-year-old daughter. Here's what I mean.
The people that I've tried to let into my life threw it back in my face. Even though they seen that I was a good mom, they seen the connection my kid and I had, they seen how intelligent she is. If anybody could have spoken to what a good parent I was, it would have been them. All I can think to myself is if these people would just give me 5 minutes, they would just talk to me, they would see.
So she's just talking about how great she is. She's been narcissistic there. Like she's saying, oh look, these people don't appreciate how great I am, basically. So
Yeah.
that's pretty standard, high quote unquote high self-esteem behavior from females,
Yeah.
which is innate. Which seems perfectly normal and acceptable in a lot of circumstances.
I'm not a bad mom.
Again, just like she has to proclaim herself as a good woman, she also has to proclaim herself as a good mom. Those are very dangerous words. When Chloe says, I'm a good mom, it says to me that she thinks she is perfectly fine and has no reason to look at herself critically and self-improve. Statements like that keep you from looking at your behavior objectively. That's why you don't proclaim yourself as a good person or a good mom. If you actually are those things, people will see it and you won't have to say it. But you never say that about yourself, because as soon as you do, the inner critic that makes you a good person goes away. If Chloe just paid attention to her...
Okay, so this is a big derailment again, basically. So she said some really dodgy things about nice guys at the start. Okay, she said things in support of child support, and she's asking for people's government ID. Okay, and this nonsense, this psychoanalysis nonsense, is dragging out the runtime, and also it's giving stuff of Chloe to respond to, because she can point out to this psychoanalysis, this derailment, and basically brush this guy's criticisms off completely now.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is a good point.
Yeah, this is how these Tradcons ruin the men's rights movement, or men's issues in general. When they bring up an issue that's important, they'll ruin it somehow, because they'll make it about their mate guarding fetish. You know, she's not
And in this case, what's that?
I'm going to say something. This sort of woman is actually going to taunt Think Before You Sleep, because she's very beautiful, right? But she's very erratically behaved. She's got tattoos. She's a single mother, and she's a sex worker, right? I can imagine Think Before You Sleep, like picturing her being a traditional submissive woman who knows her place, you know, who does the cooking, doesn't have the tattoos. He would love to have Chloe if she was like that. But because women don't behave, most women don't behave like that because they don't have to, right? Or they at the very best or fake behaving like that in short term, right? It's going to really wind Think Before You Sleep up, because he's never going to have his mate guarding fetish satisfied.
Yes. And I'd just like to point out, like you said, well, if she wanted to do a response video to him, she could actually ignore all his salient points. She could say, no, I'm just going to focus on him psychoanalyzing, you know, I'm screwing it up, but you know what I mean? His analysis up.
Well, she did do a 50-minute reply video where she basically asked him, have you ever been touched by a woman?
Yes,
basically
of course.
An incel. Yeah, she basically called him an incel.
Well, he probably is, but what can I say? Yeah.
No, come. Anyone with 500,000 subs is not an incel. Let's be real.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean, is like the average guy is deselected. So
yeah.
That's all I meant by that.
Herself for 5 seconds, she would see that she has done some horrible things to her daughter. The reason Chloe is a single mother is because she chose to have a child with a man who was so abusive that he almost killed her. Because of that...
Hold it. Whoa. There are all kinds of single mothers that just kick the guy out.
Yes, exactly. The thing is, the problem here, she may claim he was abusive, but unless there's proof, unless it's proven beyond reasonable doubt, I don't believe that. That's horseshit. I'm sorry. Just because she claims something doesn't mean it's true, right? You're talking about all these red flags. You're talking about all these things about her, yet you swallow what she says at face value. Think Before You Sleep. Come on, man. Come on.
Her daughter cannot have a relationship with her father. Chloe chose to have a kid in an extremely unstable environment, and the lack of a father is going to create all kinds of boundaries problems for her child when she grows up. Women's primary...
Pause.
What does this got to do with men's rights? Come on, dude.
Also, he's making really, really bad arguments that you can poke holes in. So, for the sake of argument, let's take what Chloe said at face value. Let's believe that she had an abusive partner, right? And her daughter can't see her father because he's abusive. Okay, let's say that's true. That doesn't make her an abuser, right? That's a real massive stretch right there. So, oh, she didn't have good. She made bad judgments. She didn't have a good judge of character. She ended up having a child with an abuser. Therefore, she's an abuser herself. That is a piss weak argument that will get scoffed at.
Yeah.
So she gave into a frame of reference. She gave into her claims without proof to make a really bad, poor argument that can be ripped apart.
Primary job is to help the emotional development in children, while men's primary job is to help create boundaries. You need both influences, or you will require years of therapy just to turn out normal. Her daughter now has to go through that. Not to mention that if Chloe doesn't realize that she chose to have a child with an abuser, she will bring other abusers around her kid, as well as sabotage relationships.
Just a nitpick. If he talks about having both parents like this, he must be against single fathers, because supposedly single fathers, a father can't do what a mother does. If they each take a different role, right?
So women bring the emotional development and men do the boundaries. So men don't have emotions. Like what? Emotional, don't even know what that even means, emotional development. Weird. So
With healthy people. If she is with a nice guy right now and doesn't learn how to contain her behavior, then she will find ways to destroy that relationship. Second, Chloe is a sex worker, so when her daughter goes to school, everyone is going to know what her mom looks like naked, and she will be bullied for it. She will be made
So what?
responsible for something that her mother.
So what? How's that? I'm sorry. So what? What's it got to do with men's rights? So look. Think before you sleep. Are you going to advocate for prostitutes from being banned for having children or something? You think that's ever going to happen? Yeah, you see that this is massive. It makes you look stupid, basically. And look, she's not a prostitute. She's just a wannabe porn star who does very bad movies. That will look. I promise you, those movies will be forgotten in 10 years' time. If she fades into obscurity, no one's going to remember them. They're not good.
Yeah, exactly.
Mother did. I don't know if any recent photos of her have been leaked, but I can tell you that it was extremely easy for me to find old photos of her that were leaked. Kids are going to be able to find that stuff.
Yeah, but he had to look for her. He had to know who she was and then put effort into it.
Yeah.
A young person just looking on porn is not going to find her.
Yes.
So imagine how her bullies are going to use that to abuse her. Last, but certainly not least, after going on and on about how awful it was for her mother to abandon her, Chloe is actively trying to abandon her daughter in a much worse way. She has been hospitalized at least twice in the past 2 years or so for attempted suicide, and in her most recent attempt, which was just a few weeks ago, she came very close to dying. Chloe is in major denial of how.
Well, that's sad. That's sad, but what has it got to do with men's rights? Look. Okay, let's say she was suicidal. You're going to kill her. She's at risk of killing herself. She's at risk of abandoning her kids, right? But she was actually sincere in her men's rights beliefs, right? 100%. Okay. I would be sympathetic and supportive of anyone like that. Okay, I'd feel sorry for them. The problem is that she's not trying to kill herself, that she's a bad mother, or she's a porn star, she takes a million dicks up the arse. The problem is she's a fake MRA who's hostile to men's rights. She's condescending, and she's most likely looking to exploit and abuse men. They're on a large scale via her social media. Therefore, she's not a trustworthy MRA. That's the issue, right? Not a personality disorder, not her bad mothering, not that she's trying to commit suicide. You've got to get your priorities straight, because think before you sleep. I think you've got issues. I'm psychoanalyzing you now. You've got a mate guarding fetish of some sort. Yeah, you've got, and also I think you've got some, you're high social dominance orientated as well, in my opinion. You're obsessed with gender roles, absolutely obsessed. You're obsessed with things beyond your control. Right? You really want behaviour from women that you're in no position to get. So you're not dealing with reality.
Also, these Tradcons, none of them care about children. They always bring up children, but it's always, again, for their mate guarding fetish.
Yes.
They don't really care about children. I guarantee you that.
Serious this illness is. This is a life-threatening disease, and here is how she describes the aftermath of the first suicide attempt.
Long story short, I was in a really dark place. I had an undiagnosed BPD, and it was really fucking up my mind. I was really suicidal. I was really depressed. I was undiagnosed. I took a year off. I spent that year by myself. And here I am. I came back, and I feel like God was kind of like, now you're okay. Now's the time. And now I get to do what I love the most. And I get to do it in a healthy mind state.
You were suicidal, and now you're in a healthy mind state? Chloe, it takes far more than a year to heal the kind of problems that you have. Try more like a decade. That's if you're doing things properly. We don't even know what she did during that year that she said she was healing.
I'm sorry. Look. Think before you sleep, right? You're the sort of guy who go to therapy, do therapy for a decade, blah blah blah, that bullshit. Problem is, borderline personality disorder is not curable by therapy. If that's what she's got, so you've got no idea what you're talking about. Like, and also a lot of mental illnesses, people go through things, they do recover quickly, right? They do. People can snap. It depends what they're suffering from, right? People can have mental breakdowns, and boom, they recovered like a few months later. So I don't even know what point you're trying to make now. Like, you've really gone off the rails.
Yeah,
Like,
he's really centered on this woman, period.
He must be in love with her or something.
It didn't work because a few months later, after this was filmed, she tried to kill herself again. And guess what? She is still in denial of how serious of a problem this is.
I'm here 2 weeks later dealing with traumatic brain injury, a crap ton of amnesia, and very possible brain damage. And I think the saddest thing is that I still couldn't tell you why I did it. I woke.
I don't believe her there.
No.
I don't see the brain damage. I do think she's a pathological liar of some sort. There's some weird vibes I'm getting off her.
Oh yeah.
I don't feel comfortable analyzing her in public like this, right? But there's some weird shit coming from her, some weird vibes. There's some really weird things I'm picking up, right? But it's not really relevant. It's not really relevant to what you're. But think before you sleep, though. I think you're just as crazy as her in your own way. And the thing is, I wouldn't care, but you're polluting men's issues with your obsessions, right? You should have done a 5-minute response video to her. That's it. That's what it should have been, a 5-minute response video, then just move on. And if she says more stupid crap that needs to be called out, do another video.
Well, to be honest, we've probably gone far longer than we should have.
Yeah. I want to finish it now. We're nearly done.
Okay.
Woke up after that week with this amazing appreciation for my life, the movement that I've built for myself, the hard work that I've put in, my daughter, the people around me. I'm so lucky to be here.
See, guys, she's all better now. Yeah, except that's what she said last time. Chloe, are you actually taking steps to make sure this doesn't happen again, so your kid doesn't grow up as an orphan like you did? Or God forbid her abusive father gets custody of her? Do you want your daughter to have to live with the guy who almost killed you? Do you actually care about this stuff? Right now, keeping yourself alive for the sake of your daughter should be your full-time job. If you don't take care of this, you...
Pause. Look, no. If she's such a bad mother, right, her priority is to put her kid up for adoption, find a good foster home. Yeah? So you're not really being consistent. And again, you're believing her bullshit stories about an abusive ex. I'm not, or I shouldn't call them bullshit stories. They might be true, but they're unproven. That's the problem. They're unproven, right? And I think she's a pathological liar as well. So that's why I think they're bullshit.
What woman ever says anything nice about her ex? Ever. Also, like you said, why didn't she put him up for adoption? Of course, because this guy talking doesn't care about children.
Yeah.
He cares about this woman, period.
Yeah.
You will succeed at ending your life. You almost did succeed. That being said, with regards to her channel, Chloe should not be giving any life advice or any mental health advice. If you take her advice, you could end up miserable like her. She clearly does not have the experience. Most of the mental health advice I've seen her give is either self-destructive, or the ones that aren't are, well, in the words of Brittany Venti, kindergarten teacher advice.
Everything about us is unique, and you have something to add to this world. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
It's okay, guys. You're all unique. Feel better. There, I solved all of your mental health problems. That is not the advice of someone who has done any significant work on herself, nor is it useful to the people who need it. If you could just tell people who are depressed to feel better, there would be no depressed people. The reality is that if you have mental health issues, especially if they are severe, it means there are a large number of things that are going wrong in your life. Those mental health issues will persist until you fix those problems, or at least fix a significant portion of them. The reason it's difficult is because no one can do it for you. You have to figure it out with your own efforts. That's actually the real struggle of being a therapist. As a therapist, you have to trick people into solving their own problems, and it takes years to do that. But if you put the time in, therapy does work. You can learn how to solve your problems. You can learn how to not repeat mistakes.
So this video, Think Before You Sleep, is about therapy?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
You can learn how to contain your bad behaviors, and you can learn how to associate with good people. However, there is no get-rich-quick scheme in mental health. It takes a ton of effort, and progress is really slow.
Okay, enough of this. He's just completely derailed it into something that has nothing to do with men's rights.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't care about the last minute. I've over-listened to this as it is.
This guy's atrociously bad. I think you're gonna have to look at these other videos and do replies, because he tackles important subjects and he really, really fucks them up. And I'm gonna say something as well. For all his problems, he's actually a lot better than his subs. His subs are awful. Like, no, some of these subs are all right. Some of these subs seem to be like decent people, the heart's in the right place. But a lot of these subs are right-wing nut jobs as well.
Yeah.
That's a problem. And also he's done posts ranting about communists as well. Like he's talked about, like, for example, he did a review of the Batman movie, right? And he was talking about how miserable the movie is, basically, how miserable it is about American society. That's a communist plot to destroy America. To get everyone feel miserable about themselves. He's got some. I think he's a far right winger for sure.
Oh yeah.
And I wish these people didn't speak about men's rights at all. And I really wish they took the mate guarding fetish away from men's rights. It's just completely insane. It's a complete waste of time, because a young man with Chloe's mental health problems will be deselected, probably in a mental home, be on the streets, or if they're lucky, they'll be living with their mother or family still, right? But they'll have no social circle outside of that. Chloe, because she's a beautiful young woman, she'll be selected by society, right? She'll have multiple boyfriends, multiple options, right? She'll have children, so she'll have a family in her life that we pay for by the state. So women have got all the power. They've got all the social power. They've got all the legal power. So fixating on their tattoos, fixating what they're going to do in relationships, fixating about certain behaviors they refuse to do, or behaviors that you want them to do, right? It's a complete waste of time. It's not going to happen. They hold all the cards, right? As that woman who wrote The Manipulated Man once said, a woman can be a chimpanzee, can have the mentality of a chimpanzee and still be socially acceptable in
Yes.
society,
Yes.
right?
And the reason we're pointing that out is because Think Before You Sleep is a very successful channel. You know, he's got 500,000 subs. He's got more than 500,000 views for this. So it's a very successful video, and it's a derailing video. And this is the kind of video that needs debunking.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Yellow. It's been longer than I wanted it to be, trust me, but thank you for your cooperation, sir.
Okay.